it's Lauren Yates from Rave here, and today we're going to be having a chat over Zoom with dancer Charles Bartley, who has just been cast in Magic Mike Live, coming here to Sydney next month in December. Charles, welcome to Rave It Up. It is a pleasure to have you on the show today. How are you going?
Very well, thank you for having me. This is exciting. Yes, it's getting so close to the show. I love doing press and media and talking to people about it and getting everyone excited.
You're so welcome. Thanks for taking the time. I know you're probably in this really busy rehearsal schedule at the moment, right?
Yeah, we're working towards making the show look super nice and making ourselves look super nice for everyone. So yeah, it's a busy period.
Well, we cannot wait to see the show. But I have some questions about Magic Mike Live a little bit later on. But since this is your first time on the show, I'd actually love to start by talking about So You Think You Can Dance, if that's okay.
Yes, please. You're taking it way back to the beginning.
Yeah, I did my research. So for those who don't know, Charles was the runner-up of So You Think You Can Dance, Australia Series 2. I really want to know, how was your experience on that show? And I guess dancing in front of heaps of cameras and audiences, was that nerve-wracking?
Yes, it was a bizarre experience because it was my first real professional experience. So I'd come directly out of full-time training and straight into kind of like fame, if you could call it that. And it was very bizarre. I mean, it was an intense experience, and you go through it before they release you to the public. So you go through the top 100 week, and before that there's producer rounds and all that sort of chaos. And then when you finally step onto the stage, I remember watching it in the first season and being like, wow, that's like the coolest thing ever. And then to be standing on the stage and you walk out and people know you by this point. You've been hiding and you're not allowed to tell anyone, and you walk out on stage and they're like, go Charlie, and you're like, wow, people know who I am. It's just like a completely surreal experience, but super cool at the same time. Like, I got so much training out of that show. Like, you would do a different style every week. It's just boot camp. You know, you'd be in there with Jason Gilkison or Kelly Abbey, or and learning a Viennese waltz or like a cha-cha, things that I've never even thought about touching before. And so you're forced to like figure it out and try to get this perfect 90 seconds out each week. And it was super stressful, but all I remember is laughing a lot. Like, the people who were in the show and the runners and the producers are all so nice and supportive, because it was so tough on us all. Yeah, it was a pretty crazy experience.
So did you come out liking some new styles that you didn't even think of before or didn't like in the beginning?
Yeah, I still love it to this day, but when we did a salsa routine, I was like, whoa, what is this? It's like, I don't know, the social aspect of it and just the music. There was just something about it that I was kind of like, oh man, I could really get into this. So that was definitely one. I don't think there was anything I was like, I don't want to ever try that again. Maybe a waltz. It's a little too slow for my liking. So only on occasion will I dabble in the old waltz.
Yeah. Well, I've been dancing all my life, and I just got into a lot of Latin music like salsa and bachata just like a couple of years ago. So I totally know what you mean by the salsa. It just really gets in your bones, doesn't it? And you're like, oh, I can't just not stay still with this music.
It's addictive. Even Anthony and I, my younger brother, who's also in Magic Mike, we were just walking back from the gym last night, and they had like a little salsa get up going on outside downstairs, and we were just like, don't start dancing in public. Don't do it. It just like gets inside of you and you want to just start moving, but we decided against it. Also, I don't think you're allowed to do it in public. So.
Oh yeah, because I guess with all the restrictions, right? But I don't think that's stopping people from dancing, to be honest.
yeah, I know. It feels like Footloose or something.
Yeah, it's like, oh, we can't do it. So am I right in saying that you've probably been dancing all your life since you were little?
Yes. Yes, pretty much. As far as I can remember, I was 7 when I stepped into a studio, but I'm pretty sure I was like a bit of a dancer even before that, because Mum was sick of me tearing up the rug, quite literally. And I remember the conversation we had. She sat on the edge of my bed and said, you can either do tap, jazz, or ballet. I don't think you'll enjoy ballet right now, so it's tap or jazz. And for some reason I picked tap. I'm not exactly sure why, but I think I'd known about tap dogs and river dance and stuff, and so that sort of spurred me on into that. And eventually down the track, everything just started. I dabbled in jazz, and then it was contemporary, then it was ballet, and and then everything. I just kept going and going and going.
So how do you think you found your love for dancing? Was it just the music and it got into your bones, like we were just even chatting about salsa just then? Because I'm sure you'd just be dancing around when you were little, like 3 or 4.
I don't know the exact. I mean, the funny thing is my whole family is like academic. My father's a lawyer, my older brother's a lawyer, aunties, uncles, grandfather, they're all lawyers.
So different.
Yes, I'm not exactly sure what happened, like, and my parents will attest to that. They're like, you definitely didn't get it from us. So I remember listening to Michael Jackson CDs like over and over and over again. And I think I was so small at the time. I was probably only 10. And I remember him coming to Australia and I begged my dad to go. I'm glad he didn't, because now in retrospect, I would have been crushed to death in that crowd. You know what I mean? Like the craziness that was. But, there was something that pulled me towards it. And I can't exactly pick. There was no like history of it. So there was just something in me that just said, hey, you like to move and this music makes you feel good. So just follow that, and I'm glad I did.
So were there any other careers that you wanted to pursue when you were younger as well? Kind of like the plan B, as they call it?
It's kind of, well, at the end, I always tried my best in school and I did quite well. So I ended up getting into a double degree, which was media and law in Macquarie Uni. Looking back now, I realized law was the very like safe feel, like I'm sure I could probably get a job if I made it through law. And media was always very interesting to me for some reason, and it still is today. And especially after being on So You Think and dancing on TV shows, I've really gotten a wider view of like different jobs that you can get into, and film. I love movies and all that sort of stuff. So if it wasn't dance, maybe something in there. Yeah, I know. But back in the day, I don't think I like really understood that. But looking back, I'm like, oh yeah, there was another little passion in that creative side of the field as well.
Well, who knows? You could have had my job.
yeah, watch out. I'll be interviewing you in a second.
Oh, cool. I don't mind that. Sometimes I like to be on the other end of it.
Yeah, it's fun.
But it is good that you are in the entertainment industry and you get to kind of dabble in all those things anyway. Who knows? Dance might end up bringing you down those paths anyway of acting and things like that, musical theatre, whatever.
No, you're 100% right. As I've developed my creative like brain over the many years, I found that the more things I dabble in, the more it folds back on each other. Like I did a little bit of acting and I found my dancing got so much better because of it. And I was like, there's something to this. I think that the more creative you are, it exponentially just kind of builds. And it's interesting that you say that. The more things I get interested and dabble in, the better everything else becomes. So there's something in that.
So do you think there'll be singing in the future?
I've dabbled in that, but that's a way, yeah.
Put it to the side.
Yes, 100%. Yeah.
Well, you're good at the dancing, so stick with that and you love it. So that's what matters.
All right, I appreciate it. I'll write that down. Stick to
it. But you have danced with some incredible artists as well. I was blown away when I read your biography. You worked with artists like Usher in 2018 and Katy Perry, Bebe Rexha, Kylie Minogue, Kesha, and so many more. What has been your favourite project to work on, or is that a little bit of a hard question?
That is hard, but it is that Usher show that I did for R&B Fridays live when they came back to Australia. I'd probably been dancing with him for a few months and I knew that job was coming up, and they always just check you ahead of time for each individual job rather than just you expecting to be with them forever. So I was in Australia and I was like, wow, like to go home with Usher, after being overseas for close to 2 years or 18 months to 2 years, and to be able to like dance in front of 50,000 people and including family and friends and stuff like that. I was like, that would be the coolest thing ever. So I remember, like just really working hard in all the jobs previous, knowing that whatever I did in those jobs would get me a better chance at getting to that job. And I remember the day I was just typing away at my computer in LA and the email popped up just saying, yeah, you booked for the Australia tour. And I was like, oh my Lord. I was like, I couldn't believe it. I just remember kind of sitting there for 10 minutes. And then the experience itself was unbelievable. Just, we did all the major cities, it was a full-blown 90-minute show to all these hits. Like, it's just the most amazing thing that I've ever experienced. To sit back and see him out there, and then just like 50,000 people with phones out, like screaming and singing along. Like, it's just, the rush you get from that is nothing I've ever experienced before. It's very, very cool.
And it's Usher. Like, he's such a huge artist that everyone knows and has been around for decades. So I'm sure you learnt so much from him.
Oh, 100%. I mean, him himself as well. No wonder he's been around for so long, because he is like, he's very business-like, and very focused, but super creative and collaborative. And like, when you're working, you're really working. Like, there would be constant times where in the rehearsal studio that something wouldn't be going right, and there'd be a little bit of tension, you know, and a build between dancers and choreographer or the band and whatever. And, you know, the thing that they would always say is like, we're going for greatness, not just good.
Oh, I love that. Yeah.
You know, so they're like, this is worth the trouble and the sort of like tension to be able to provide an entertainment experience for people that is like, not just something they'll be like, oh, that was cool. You know, it's something like they really experience it like a whole nother level. So it was just amazing to be a part of that and to have that mentality like kind of drilled into you. It changes the way I see things as well.
Gosh, I wish I was there for that show. It sounds incredible.
Cool. It was cool.
Hopefully there's another one in the future.
Yeah. Oh, I'm trying to get my way back. We'll figure it out.
Yeah, get the job again. Now, I'm sure your favourite project is probably going to change very soon with your new project being Magic Mike Live. Such a big deal. Magic Mike is a huge franchise that we all know. Is that nerve-wracking for you that it is so huge?
Yes. There's a lot of people know about it, and so they have some level of expectation of like what they're going to experience. What I personally love about the show is they don't really know what they're about to experience. It's I believe, better than what people imagine. And that's why I'm so excited for the boys to get together and to like put this show on for everyone, especially after the year we've had. It is just such a party. And it's a lot more than that too. It's got heart and integrity, and, you know, my little brother and I wouldn't be really a part of a show that didn't have some sort of like artistic credibility to it. So that's why we're excited. People might expect, like, without shade, Chippendales, you know, that sort of like you know, but it's so much more than that. And so we're excited to really give that to people.
We're excited too to just watch it. And as you said, after the year we've had, it'll just be such a nice, like, really fun night out that we all really deserve.
Yes, absolutely, yeah.
And have you all started getting together and doing the audition process not the audition process, the rehearsal process all together? Yes.
We are just about to get into like official rehearsals, but a few of the boys who have been able to get together in Sydney have been doing a few brush up rehearsals just to start to, you know, get it back in the body and back in the system, because our turnaround this time is quite quick to put the show on. We've only got 5 days in the rehearsal studio, and then I think it's and a half tech or 2 weeks tech, and then boom, there's an audience there. So we put it on in Belgium at the start of the year, so we all know the show. We got to put on 2 shows for the Belgian audience, which was a super bizarre and cool experience. But then as we flew home, everything happened, and we had to postpone the show until now. So now we're kind of like, we've been waiting all year to do this, and I know people who booked and knew it was coming have also been waiting, but I can guarantee you it's reciprocal. We feel the same way.
Yeah, and you're a dancer and a choreographer as well. How is it going, you know, from being a choreographer and, you know, making up your own moves to then doing someone else's choreography? Because I'm guessing you haven't choreographed this show, so is that hard, and what do you prefer?
I prefer to be the dancer.
Oh, really? I did not think that was going to be your answer.
Yeah, I do, because after so many years, I have so much trust in myself to deliver the product however they want. The tough thing about being a choreographer is that you have to sit back and you put the trust in someone else to deliver. And when you transition from a dancer into choreography, that's probably one of the most nerve-wracking things, is just to be like, well, I can't do it. And I know I could do it, but I've got to just trust that what I've given them and their talent and their professionalism will deliver the product. So personally, I love, and there's actually nothing better for me than being on the stage and having that interaction with the crowd. And this show is like amazing for that. You know, it is about that sort of energy exchange between the audience and the people on the stage. It rather than feeling like maybe it's us and them, it just feels like a big party involving everyone. So that's why I'm in this show. However, funny enough, the co-director brought me in before we started the show, and there was each show throughout the world has its own sort of feel. It's tailored towards that specific region. So we needed to tailor the jokes and some of the show to Australian audiences, which makes it super individual and very unique. You won't get this version of the show anywhere else in the world. But she got me to put some steps in as well. So I have a few 8 counts in there that are preciously mine. So I got the
best of both worlds. Yeah, I agree. And you guys have obviously been needing to keep in shape for this show. What has been your exercise and I guess diet routine during this time? Because I'm sure we've all been gaining a little bit of weight through COVID.
Yes. Well, don't get me wrong, I gave up for a bit. There were 6 weeks there where I was like, you know what, I'm not going to bother with a sit-up because I don't know what's happening with the world. But specifically now that we're getting closer to the time, we've been hitting the gym pretty hard. And we try to actually go twice a day in the lead up to rehearsals. When we start getting into heavy rehearsals, it'll change a bit because the show is quite physical. So you have to balance how much you can physically work out also with how much energy you need to deliver the show at the best possible way. So it's a bit of a balance when we get into that. But at the moment, everyone walks into the show like huge because we've been eating. It's just how much size can you put on? Then we do all the cardio and it all starts to come off again. So I'm still sneaking a few treats here and there, hoping that the rehearsal period helps me shed that sort of stuff off. So, but yeah, it starts to get down to the point of self-discipline soon where you're like, well, Australian public needs us to look good. So, you know, put down the chocolate bar, not just for you, but for the whole country.
Yeah. And it's funny, like the first show, as you said, where you're all so big, but like the end show is not going to be the same as the first show because you're going to be like so much thinner.
Yeah. I mean, we'll look like an Adonis statue because we'll just be like, there'll be no body fat on us, which is a great thing. Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's a great thing for the last show then for the girls.
There'll be some cheat days in there. I'm sure Christmas will be an interesting, when the Pavlova's there, I don't know if I can resist myself.
Well, good luck with that. I don't think there'll be much willpower during that time, but you're working hard so you can actually treat yourself. The Australian public will allow that.
The wise words.
I love that, yeah, so I hope they all agree with me. You're putting on a good show. We need to let you treat yourself a little bit, especially through Christmas.
Oh, 100%, yeah.
But we all know what happens in Magic Mike. You know, I'm sure all the girls listening today have seen the movie, maybe even seen, you know, the Belgian show, who knows? Is there any, honestly, like, just between you and I, is there honestly any nervousness or even self-consciousness about stripping in front of a crowd? Because it's one thing, you know, stripping in the bedroom, but to actually do it in front of a crowd, I don't know how you guys do it.
Yeah, that's a good... No, well, not for me anyway. Yes, I think we put in enough work and we are very confident in the show that we're putting on and the way that we're putting it on too, that there's no corny or cheesy moments where we would feel self-conscious about like, oh, I don't know about doing this or anything like that. Like, also the lighting in there is helping us out a lot. So
You're allowed the cheat days then.
Yeah, I mean, we have dudes every different style, size, you know, and that's the purpose, is to kind of like, not everyone likes the same thing. So there's skinny dudes with tats and long hair, and then there's huge dudes, you know, and then there's a plethora, and there's something for everyone. So as long as you're just very confident in yourself and you know what you can deliver as a performer, then that's probably the best thing that you can do on the stage. And that helps with the self-consciousness. And you're like, all right, well, this is me. And And I'm sure maybe I'm not for everyone, but there's probably one person out there that's going to enjoy it. So take,
like, take it or leave it. Here's me.
Yeah. And so I think that helped. That's drilled into us from the highest levels of creative teams. So it makes us feel comfortable to be able to go and explore and have fun with the crowd and do all that sort of stuff. And
with so much experience being a dancer and dancing on stage anyway, it's just kind of like that added element of just stripping off some clothes as well. So I guess you're already comfortable in that environment of being on stage and, doing something you're passionate about.
100%. And to be honest, this is not the first time I've ever got my shirt. I've been in some interesting outfits in my years. I've done my and stuff like that at the Horton Pavilion, and they always like to see some skin too. So it's not the first time. So I've had some experience towards this. Some would say leading towards this, even.
Leading towards this. I always say everything happens for a reason. All of your projects leading up to this happen for a reason for you.
Take off your shirt. You'll thank me in 10 years. All right.
Yep. But we are unfortunately getting to the end of the interview, Charles. But before we go, what advice would you give to our audience that might want to follow their dreams of becoming a dancer or a choreographer?
Just find out why you really love it, beyond things that you can get from it externally, rather than being like, well, I can earn money and I can maybe be on a TV show. Like, I've had some lucky experiences where you get that.
Or get girls.
That's also part of it, yes.
That's probably another thing I guess guys think about with being a dancer.
Yeah, especially young dancers. They're like, oh yeah, the chicks, yeah, that's pretty good. And it's just there's so much to it beyond, those simple things that you might see on Instagram or whatever, or people would like to show you. It's shown me a whole world beyond what I could have even imagined growing up. So if you just want to chase that little dragon, that little feeling of like feeling joy by doing something creative, whatever that is, then if you keep chasing that, it'll expose you to a whole awesome world where you get to meet a whole bunch of cool people and have cool experiences that maybe you'd never even thought of before. So just keep turning up tomorrow and doing what you love to do, and it'll just happen. And do it at the best of your ability, and it'll happen. Is that kind of like the top tip you'd also give for people wanting to get into some really cool gigs that you've had? Because another thing I saw in your biography is you're a featured dancer in The Great Gatsby and the film Goddess. That's the gigs people really want. They want to be in films. They want to be in, big shows like Magic Mike. Yes, no, 100%. I think part of it is being around the people who have the ability to provide you with that opportunity as well. If you want to be a dancer, get amongst dancers. If you want to be an actor, get amongst actors, because you don't know who you'll meet and who you'll learn from. A lot of those jobs that I got was just, there was a few auditions for them, but they knew, the people behind the panel knew me already because I'd been around. So that helped so much. So you think also helped, it was look at this guy, and for everyone, it was just oh, he's a new dancer, let's get him on this, let's get him on that. So it's exposure to the world that you really want to be in. And the more you're exposed, the more familiar you are, and the more friendly you are as well, always helps. Because being a nice person, talented, they are a heavy balance. You need to go hand in hand, basically. Yeah, and definitely in this industry, it's about who you know. As you said, it's those contacts that you made that people knew who you were. So definitely, as you said, be friendly. Don't burn any bridges. You never know when you'll need them. Oh, 100%, yep. That's a big one. Well, thank you so much for that advice, and thank you so much for coming on the show, Charles. I really appreciate your time. I had a blast. Thank you so much. You're so much fun to talk to. It was a lot of fun chatting to you too. Just keep in contact, and you're welcome on the show anytime. So in the future you want to chat about anything else, I'm here for you. I'd love that. Thank you so much. You're welcome, and hopefully I'll be there on opening night for Magic Mike Live, so hopefully we can meet in person. That would be great. Definitely. I got you. I'll find you in the crowd. Awesome. Oh God. Well, as I said, keep in contact. You've got my contact now, and we'll hopefully get you on in the future. That'll be fun. Perfect. Thanks so much. Well, I hope you'll enjoy today's interview. If you'd like to check out any of our other interviews, visit our website, raveituptv.com. And remember to check out our podcast on all podcasting platforms now, like Spotify and Apple Podcasts. That is where we're uploading our interviews now.
as well as our website. So go check it out and spread the word. Tell your friends. But for now, thanks for watching and we'll see you next time. Bye!